And we're here. He even has Jeeps all emblazoned with his company logo. This is great. This is going to be a great video, folks. Yeah, I was watching some of your ads on Instagram, and those car salesmen. Yeah. What a bunch of clowns, dude. We got them wound up, huh?
Yeah. Conversations, yeah.
Idiots.
I keep answering.
So yesterday I did a video and they're beating me up pretty good. Okay. So they're coming at me pretty hard, and
those like boost the views. They don't understand, like they're
helping.
A favor. Yeah, those are the good reactions.
It still makes me want to jump through the screen and strangle them. Yeah. One guy's like, well, the customers do it to us all the time, so what's wrong with us doing it to them? Yeah. Shopping, trying to get better deals. I'm like, how do you compare? How do you compare what you do to a customer shopping for a better deal? Yeah. Come on, man. That's so stupid, dude. No, it's out of control. All right, Hovanes Margarian.
Hovanes Margarian, yes.
Awesome. The scariest lemon law auto dealer attorney in the world. Glad I found you, man. So you got, give me the tour. This is great.
So these are our Jeeps. We've got 2 Rubicons. One's a Gladiator. The other's the Wrangler. We haven't had time to take them out that much, but we take them to events, to shows, to fundraisers, just getting the word out. We actually are giving away a Jeep also. Oh yeah? So I've got a thing going on where there's a couple steps. You follow on Instagram, you follow us, you comment, you like, you tag some friends, and you enter the sweepstake to win a Jeep. We're going to give away a Jeep or $50,000 cash on Thanksgiving Day this year. So awesome. Just a promotion to get the word out. So these are my Jeeps. I have a few other cars. So this is our inspection area and shop. I got the full kit, the Shelby Cobra. I haven't had time to build it, but
look at that.
The whole idea is to start building it here.
Nice.
1 day a week, I'm going to work on it. I've got the engine and transmission on the other side of our property. All the parts are here.
Oh wow.
This is my 1929 Ford Model A. It's running condition, 3 cylinders.
Wow. Wow, this is clean.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I got this about 2 years ago. This is where we do our inspections for client vehicles. So most of the cars come through here, we lift them up, we diagnose everything. We also have the software that pulls all the codes, error codes and stuff. Because a lot of times we see fraud related to that too. Client goes to the dealer, complains about something, they say there's nothing wrong. And he keeps doing the same thing, the error codes flash. We pull the codes, we'll print everything, we'll save it, and if he goes in and in between they're saying there's nothing wrong, but we have the codes all along, then we put all that together, and when we sue, we present all the evidence saying, hey, he brought it in 4 times, we've got all the codes, and you kept lying to him. You kept telling him there's nothing wrong with your car. But what about the codes here? So, what's interesting with new cars now is there's so much technology. They keep resetting the computers, and they say, oh, it's just a software update. Well, that's the same as replacing a part nowadays. Oh yeah, it's all software, right?
Absolutely.
If the software malfunctions, then it's the same thing as if something breaks on your car. It's the same story.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm here with Hovanes Margarian. He is a lemon law attorney and basically a hero to those who have not been done right by car dealers. And I was able to secure this appointment with him because one of you sent me one of his videos on Instagram, and I thought, finally, there's someone out there fighting for us. And there are some things that I've shared in my videos that were on point and some that weren't on point. And what's great about this opportunity is we're going to get a chance to get it straight from an actual qualified attorney, graduated from USC.
Yes, USC.
So you had rich parents. I'm just kidding, dude. 'Cause I have a 16-year-old, so I got to figure out how to put her through. No, you were really, really smart. So this guy is massively qualified. And you saw in the intro or walking around, I mean, he's a car guy too. And what I love about this is finding an attorney that also is a car guy. You love cars as well, like all of us. And he's fighting for us. He's fighting for the little guy out there that are, I said this earlier, we walk into dealerships with, 30-foot high ceilings and marble flooring and massive training programs to make these guys incredibly well equipped to handle all of our objections and to say anything to us to get us to buy those cars for ridiculous prices. And sometimes totally legitimate and it's fine. And I want to make sure before we start that I'm clear that if you're doing things right as a dealership, you're doing things legal, you're doing things ethical, you're advertising properly, you're not misleading consumers, you're not lying to consumers, you're not saying stupid things like this car is going to go up in value. If you're just saying, look, like these guys said this weekend, this is the price we're offering, and they've done everything correct all the way through, it's your thing, you can sell it to me for whatever you want if I'm willing to buy it. I'm just unwilling to buy it. It's when the dealers start to do things that are unethical and illegal is when guys like this come in with a cape on to step up in our defense to make sure that we get our money back. So with that, Hovanes, tell us about yourself and kind of what you've been doing.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for reaching out. Thanks for visiting. So I actually stumbled into this field because I was on the other side. During law school, I started a car brokerage and I was trying to make extra money during law school. And I struggled. I couldn't sell cars. For this first 6 months, I couldn't sell a single car. Every deal I put together would fall apart, and then I would see the client months later with another car, and I would ask them, like, what happened? Why did you flake out on me? What happened with the deal? Where's the car? What did you end up getting? And over time, I learned that all the deals fell apart because the dealers were committing fraud, and I was clueless, so I didn't ask and give the information I needed to give my clients to get the deal. They were ending up, buying much cheaper cars at slightly lower payments than I was offering them because I wasn't looking at the details. So I started being more detail-oriented, giving quotes based on the price of the car, the sticker price, the selling price, the monthly payment, the interest rate, everything, disclosing everything. Then these consumers started shopping apple to apple, and they started buying cars from me. So that was law school, 3 years at USC. And then overnight, clients started coming back to me with defect questions. Their cars ended up being lemons. They were upset. They were telling me, well, you sold me this car, but it's been a nightmare. I said, look, it's not my fault, but I'm an attorney now, and I can file a lemon law claim. So I stumbled into that field automatically, and by that time I had this tremendous knowledge of the automotive industry, how dealers operate, how they structured the deals, how all the different types of fraud that I would uncover trying to save a deal to get a client to buy from me. And to be honest, I realized I'm struggling for hours trying to make $200-300 per sale, whereas being an attorney, the consumer laws are tremendously helpful to the consumers, especially in California. So we get to sue them, we get to make them give the refund to the consumer, plus they're supposed to pay the attorney's fees. So I immediately, overnight after law school, I started litigating the cases, the dealer fraud cases and the lemon law cases. Right. So I've been doing that for 17 years. I'm very fortunate because I ended up doing something in a field that I love, kind of accidentally, but it all worked out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got this gorgeous Model T behind us and this Ford you're building.
It's a 65 Shelby Cobra full kit from Factory 5 that I got recently. Wow. I've got all the parts and the engine transmission. I'm going to start working on that soon.
That's great.
And then I have the Jeeps that we use for promotional purposes. Yep. They're fun to take out, yeah.
Did you pay any markups?
I did.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No!
And everything is documented.
Yeah.
So there will be videos about that. It's just in the pipeline. We're going to disclose how it all went down, the ads that were run by these dealerships, at what price and how they played it out and how it was unfair and in a violation. We're going to lay it all out. I purposefully kind of said, fine, we'll go through with it. We needed the Jeep. This was during COVID, the green Jeep. I said, fine, I'll get the Jeep because I need it, because they refused to drop the price. But I said, I'm going to do a video explaining everything and then let the consumers be aware of what's going on and what their legal rights are. So that's coming up, yes.
That's beautiful. So you walk the walk, you put the money up to prove your point, and you're going to prove your point. So that's awesome. So there are some things I said in a couple of my videos you mentioned that were off, and I want to make sure I get those clarified for the folks, because I certainly don't want to mislead anybody. So
I don't remember exactly what, because I watched it a few days ago. But I think if we talk about the circumstances and so forth, I can shed some light into what should be done and how things should be done. So I think we should just chat about the circumstances.
So the way this goes now is, we go out. I mean, we love these Mopar products. We love these Dodge cars, and they know we do. Yep. And certainly when there was a massive shortage, it was almost understandable. There were, one Hellcat in 400 square miles, so things happen. But now there's dealers full of cars, and they're still trying to get these markups, and they're not managing it well. It was easy when they had one car, and they were able to post the price legitimately online, and they were follow through with it with the addendum on the window. But now, I was just at a dealership this last weekend where I walked in, and every second or third car had no markup addendum on it. On the website, they were advertised for the MSRP prices, and there's a lot of questions about is MSRP an advertised price, and where does that, as the guy in your comment section said, where does that clause or that fine print saying dealer will give you the final price upon coming to the dealership fall in?
So the MSRP is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So clearly it's just a suggestion. Where they get into the violation is when there are other representations on the website. Terms such as our price, today's price, your special, things of that nature. That's a representation that the car is available for that same price, and usually it shows the same number. Okay. As far as the fine print, a lot of people, even under my videos, they comment saying, "Oh, the fine print discloses things." The general idea is that the advertisement has to be fair, number one. So you can't run ads on 5 different websites saying this car is worth 100,000, sticker price is 100,000, your price is 100,000, our price is 100,000, have a calculator that takes the 100,000, chops it up into monthly payments, do all of that, and then have a fine print that says price subject to dealer approval, not true price, contact us. Well, because what's going to happen? When we sue and we take the deposition, we're going to go step by step. Why did you write out all these things on your website? Because that was the price. Why did you put the fine print? Because we didn't intend that to be the price. So if you didn't intend it, why did you make the other representations? Don't know, or they're going to have to admit they did it on purpose to mislead the consumer. Well, congrats, you just admitted to violating the fair advertising rules, which say you can't mislead consumers. So if you're honest about it, you could just say MSRP everywhere, stick to that story, ask for $50,000 extra, that's fair. Or don't even put a price, that's fair. But when you're putting a price and making it clear to the consumer that that car is available for that price, you're misrepresenting those circumstances. What's important to note is that these are fair advertising regulations, and they're also violations of the fair competition regulations. So the idea is not only to help the consumer buy the car at the correct price, but also to regulate the industry so that one dealer is not screwing the other dealer by lying about its price. Because what happens is this: you show up, they say, well, no, it's 50 grand over. You're like, okay, I'm going to walk away. They say, well, everybody's 50 grand over, so why do you want to go to someone else? Stay here, buy from us. And most consumers will end up doing that because you're already there. You realize, oh, okay, if I call someone else, they're going to give me the same quote. You call them, they say, yes, it's 50 over. You buy from them. Well, what did just happen? Unfair competition, which is not allowed. So the idea is not that it's the market price and it's excused. No, you're not excused even if it's the market price. You still violated the fair competition regulations, and you still ran a false advertisement. So a lot of times legal concepts include punishing someone for the sake of maintaining fairness in an industry versus you deserving to buy the car. Like the price could be 50 grand higher everywhere. So it's kind of, it's fair that everybody charges 50 grand if everybody's honest about it. But if they're being dishonest, the law is more focused on punishing them. And that's why it'll say, give the 50 grand back to the consumer, not because he deserves it so much, but more so to keep the dealer in check and keep him fair and honest. So there's two sides to that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So the other question is, so when I went to that dealership this weekend, let's say I never saw any ads, never saw anything online. I'm just going from dealer to dealer, because sometimes you catch that car that just got there, never made the ads yet or anything. I show up there, that car's sitting there, it's got the dealership normal sticker on the window. There's a special word for it, I always forget what it's called, but the normal sticker.
The Maroni sticker.
The Maroni sticker, yeah, that thing's on the window, and it says 92,000. And I'm excited. I was excited this weekend when I saw it. I'm like, this one has no markup. There's actual markup stickers on other cars, leading me to believe that they are putting addendums on cars with markups.
Yeah.
If every car didn't have that sticker, and the guy came out and said, there's 20,000 on every car, I would almost, understand that maybe they just haven't had a chance to get all the cars done. But in this situation, some cars had the stickers, some cars didn't have the stickers. Do they all have to have that addendum sticker on there?
So legally, if there's a markup, the addendum sticker needs to be on it. Now, if it's an oversight, then it's okay if it's a mistake, because the MSRP sticker, the Maruni that's on the window, that in itself is not an advertisement. So if they didn't run an ad, if they didn't put it on their website, they just have the car in the lot because it just got here today or yesterday, it's okay, it's not such a violation because there's still time for them to correct that mistake.
Okay.
Now, this kind of raises the question of mistake. A lot of people will comment under my videos saying, it's just a mistake. A mistake is something that happens once or twice. Once you find out about it, you correct it within a reasonable amount of time, a day, a week, okay? It's not a mistake if for a year, your website shows all cars at sticker price, but half of them are going 50 grand over sticker, and you pretend it's a mistake. It's not. So the whole idea is about fairness and openness. So if the car is in the inventory, it's on the website, it says sticker price is our price, then it has to have the Maruni sticker on it, plus the addendum sticker to make it all fair. But if it's just a one-off mistake, sometimes I get a screenshot from people saying, oh, I saw this ad, can I go make them sell me this car? It's a car and it says $500. I'm like, no, this is clearly a mistake. Okay, It's not a $500 car. So just tell them to fix it and move on. Yeah.
And that seems fair. I mean, human error happens, mistakes happen, and our legal system would be a disaster if every time anybody made a mistake, they got severely punished. So let's say I go in there on Saturday and I'm walking around and I ask the guy, hey man, this one doesn't have a markup sticker on it. Can I get this car for $93,000, like the Maroni sticker says? And he says, no, sorry, there's a $20,000 markup. You're like, ah, shucks. Well, where's your addendum? And he says, oh, we haven't put it on yet. I go back there 7 days later, and there's 2 or 3, 4, 5, half the cars don't have them on it. I go walking back in there on the next Saturday, and another salesman comes out, and he says, hey, can I help you? Well, yeah, can I get this car for sticker? And he says, no, it's a $20,000 markup. Well, where's your addendum? And both times, I'm filming myself because I don't trust any of these guys, and there's no addendum sticker then. And he says, we haven't got it around to it yet. Right on, that happens. Well, I'm not going to pay 20 over, so would you take sticker? No. Third week, I go back there. The mistake is still in place. It's appearing to be a very intentional mistake at this point, because that's between you and I and other 10,000 people. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes.
So does that increase the chances of being able to light them on fire?
So that increases the chances. So a lot of what we do with clients is explain these circumstances and explain how consumers should gather evidence about what they're facing. Be that with the markups, when you go in, whatever you're discussing, whatever you're talking about, okay, record. So a lot of people are confused about the right to record. If it's in a public setting, you have the right to record, at least in California. You can record any conversation without the other side having knowledge about it. So you walk into the sales floor, you walk into the service floor, you can record. Recording law in California, at least, is that public setting, you're free to record without disclosure. So when you go into the showroom, there's no privacy expectation, you can record. In the service bay, there's no privacy expectation, you can record. Where you're not allowed to record is if it's in a private room, doors are shut, we expect privacy, there's no cameras, and you're recording me, that's illegal. That's actually, I think it's a misdemeanor, could even be worse than that. So you're not allowed to record that. Or conversations, you call somebody, you can't just record without telling them.
What about when you call the dealerships and their recording says this call may be recorded? Can you record that call?
So legally, they don't know that you're recording, so you're not supposed to record. But a lot of things, I look at it as far as how it's going to play out. So they're saying they're going to record. So if you were to record that, and if it became an issue as to what they said, you would subpoena their recording. You'd say, I know you guys recorded.
Yeah.
They would have to disclose it. And then if there was something shady going on, you could probably bring out your recording and say, look, you said you're recording, so I thought we're all recording, so I recorded as well. So it's a two-way street, so that makes it okay to record. You know? And a lot of times some facts come into play after the fact when they lie about something. When they say, oh no, we never said this. Okay, if you never said this, then what about the fact that I have a recording of something contrary to what you're saying? Now the issue of when you recorded and so forth becomes more secondary. The issue of the fact that they lied about it becomes the important thing, and this usually happens during depositions. So I'm taking a depo, they're telling their story one way, and then I say, are you sure this is what happened? He says, yeah, absolutely, this is what happened. And then I say, well, let me play something for you. Turn it on. He listens to it. He freaks out. His attorney says, oh, this is not proper, this, that, that. We can fight about it, but I do depositions with video recordings. So I'm recording the guy who's testifying, which I think is very, very important. It's optional.
Well, it's intimidating as hell, too.
It's intimidating. Plus, you lock in their reaction, right?
Yeah.
So the guy flipping out is priceless. Now we can argue whether the recording itself is admissible or not, but your testimony is admissible. So now you're stuck.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people turn on their attorneys and say, well, you told me this was legal to do. You told me this, you told me that, and it's all being recorded. And then the attorney goes, can we go off the record? I need to talk to my client. And then we go off the record, and I say, if you want to settle now, just let me know I'm here. You know, because your client just said you told him to do something illegal. So.
And I think that's what a lot of these car salesmen and dealers that are commenting on your videos, commenting on my videos, is they're not, I don't think they're thinking through that if you do everything right, if you do everything legitimate, you follow the rules, and you at least are forthright with your customer from start to finish, no one has a legal issue with you. We're not after you. It's your product, it's your dealership. You can do what you want. It's when you start to play games, misleading the customers, playing the shell game with what the price really is, and not disclosing things up front, saying things like, you know, this thing is going to be just like a house. I had a Ford dealer salesman. I had my huge camera in my hand, and he says, the $50,000 markup on the Broncos, which now you can get them for $50,000, said, this is going to be like a house. This thing's going to triple in value. And I'm sitting here saying, you just said that to my camera. Like, you look like the biggest idiot in the world. Like, we know that's not going to happen, but this is the things they're saying, and that's where I draw the line. I start wanting to get a guy like you involved. So what circumstances, because there's a lot of people watching this right now that are thinking, okay, I paid a markup, can I go after them? What circumstances, because you have a big team, you told me you can handle scale, you can handle a lot of business, because I was worried, I'm like, well, what if, you know, Dodge people got hosed really bad? What if you get, 50 people calling you tomorrow? You can handle it, but before they all call you, what components need to be in place for them to be able to hold that dealership accountable?
So generally speaking, we don't have a problem with any type of a call, leads that come in. We'll assess everything because there's multiple factors that we look at. Number one is, how is this dealership running their ads, their website and other ads that they're running? We're looking for a pattern and practice of advertising. How are they doing this? Are they disclosing MSRP? Are they calling this our price, your price, today's price? We also have a lot of data on dealers saved, so we may be able to find an old advertisement and compare it to the consumer. So for the consumer to try to do this on their own is impossible because they don't have the data we have. So, but that's one thing we look at. The second one is we look at the contract, how the deal is structured. A lot of times the contract itself is written in a way that's not acceptable under the legal terms. The markups cannot be, for example, written out as accessory charges. Because if it says, and we have a case, multiple cases right now, and I have one video about that, it's got a $77,000 accessory charge. It says accessory, $77,000. And then the contract, that's what the contract says, and then there's an addendum that says add-on $77,000 markup. which again is not correct, because how did you add the markup? It's not an accessory you put on the car.
Yeah.
So that's a violation of the rules. So, and then beyond that, sometimes they do it in ways that we can't even think of, but that are not legal.
Yeah.
So we always prefer to do the assessments on our own. It's quick, it's free, we don't charge.
Awesome.
And even if we take a case, it's on contingency, because we make them pay the refund plus fees.
That's
but
great.
the assessment is also free. So it's much safer if they just call us.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick conversation. It may be that we quickly conclude that there's nothing to look at, or we're like, oh yeah, let's take a look at your contract. Maybe you have some screenshots of the ads or whatnot, and we'll be able to assess it and let the consumer know what their rights are.
Well, that's great. So we're going to put his phone number, website, and your YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel?
We have a YouTube channel. I'm more active on Instagram.
Follow him on Instagram.
Same thing, yeah, on Instagram. So it's my name. We'll put the link.
Yeah, I'll put it right on the screen, and we'll put it below.
YouTube as well. So half of, and what people don't realize is a lot of people are commenting on my videos saying, oh, this can't be true, you can't sue, it's impossible. I've been doing this for 17 years. This is nothing new, except there's a big wave now because of COVID and all these markups. I've done markup cases for 17 years. Usually it involved a used car where they run an ad, and then guy shows up, he doesn't know about the ad, he buys it for a higher price. I think I forgot to answer one of your questions, which was, guy walks in and he's never seen the ad. He still has a legal right, because the whole idea is the consumer has to be able to buy the car for an advertised price, because otherwise it's unfair. It could be that you never saw the ad, they still have to give you the same price.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of these things, consumers don't realize that they have a legal right. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people notice something after the deal and they call the dealer back, and the dealer will give you some nonsensical explanation of how it's okay.
Yep.
A lot of people feel like, oh, well, I signed the addendum at the end, so I agreed to it, so I'm stuck. And that's what the salesman says.
Right.
No, you're not stuck. Signing an addendum doesn't make you bound, okay? Right. And some people have been hammering me on this point, and I put up an example. I say, if I put a piece of paper together and I say, you're authorizing me to shoot you in the leg right now, and you sign, and we shake on it, and we take a video and a photo, and we have an agreement, okay? I'm gonna shoot you in the leg right now. Does it make it perfectly okay? Will I not go to jail for shooting you in the, I'm gonna go to jail, okay? Yeah. It's illegal.
You can't break the law. You can't have somebody sign away their rights to breaking the law.
Especially after the fact, because here it's like, I'm gonna shoot you, and then after have you sign saying it's okay that I shot you. Yeah. No, it's not okay. So
I saw those comments this morning, and I just started laughing, and I love that you're responding. And you're responding to, this is what's making me crazy. You're like, I'm fighting with some of these people. You're responding to like somebody who's made a career decision to go do as much harm as they can to the most unsuspecting people. Sometimes, like you've seen, senior citizens. Yeah. Sometimes it's the young people buying their first car, the infirmed. It's brutal, some of the things. I mean, you've seen some.
Yeah, we see a lot of elderly people being taken advantage of. We see people where they lease a car and then they want to transfer it into a purchase. They'll go to the dealer to do the paperwork. They'll take a car that was originally 30 grand. Now the balance is 15. They'll resell the same car to that person for 25,000.
Wow, and they paid for it for 3 years.
You pay for it twice because they don't understand, they trust them, they just sign whatever is given. But the good news is there are a lot of protections under the law. If it's a clear violation of regulations, then we can sue and get the things corrected, the numbers adjusted. And what's beautiful is that the law understands that consumers cannot afford to fight these dealers or the manufacturers on their own. That's why there's a fee shifting provision. Otherwise, it would never make sense. You can't pay $5,000-$10,000 to an attorney on a car that you just bought for 10 grand. You're never going to get a remedy. That's why the statutes have a fee shifting that makes them responsible for our fees. Yeah.
So to be clear, fee shifting means you're not going to write him a check. Yeah. He's going to shift his attorney fees over to them, which, if I understand this correctly, means that while they're on a contingency fee, you may be able to get them all their money back and your attorney's fees.
Yes,
so if they paid a $20,000 or let's say a $30,000 markup, and you've got a 30% contingency fee, there's a chance, correct me if I'm wrong, they'll get the whole 30.
So the concept of contingency is this. It means it's contingent upon winning, okay? Now the second part of contingency is that in a typical PI, personal injury claim, the attorney takes a cut. In our situation, that's not what it is. This law says it shifts the legal fees to the other side. So if you can prove that their conduct was a violation, they have to refund the $20,000 plus the fees have now shifted upon the other side. If there's $10,000 in legal expenses, they have to also pay that $10,000.
Wow.
So it's not about me taking a cut of your loss. The rules and the statutes are structured in a way to make you, the consumer, whole. And the only way you can be made whole is if I don't take a cut from you, that they pay me separately. We do have a provision that says, like, we will take a cut as a backup if the case falls apart and so forth. But the main law says they have to pay the damages plus the attorney's fees, plus you get a shot at civil penalties, which is twice the amount of the damages, plus punitive damages, which could be up to 9 times the amount of damages.
Wow.
So you're looking at a much bigger case, and it's to deter the other side, to stop from doing this, this pattern and practice. In reality, I don't think they're ever going to stop, because if they commit the violation 100 times, 80% of the people will never find out. 10% will go back to the dealer and they get fed this nonsensical story that it's okay and they go away. 10% maybe call around. They're calling the wrong attorneys who don't practice this type of law. And the attorney says, well, I can't help you, or you need to give me $5,000. You can't afford it, so you just quit. So only like maybe 1 or 2% reach somebody like me, where I'll say, yeah, you have a case, I'll get this and that done for you, I'll get you the refund, I'll get the fees separately, and so on and so forth. So what's happening is they'll do it 100 times, 20 grand, that's like $2 million, and then they'll get caught once, and I'll make them give the 20 grand back, maybe another 20 on top, maybe another 20 in fees, but they're paying out 60 grand after committing $1 million or $2 million of fraud. That's why they keep doing it.
And that's why it's so critical to get an attorney like this involved. And I'm telling you, what he said, this is so important, hopefully everybody got it, is because I've been in business for a long time and I've been on the other end of lawsuits in our business. And not only do we get hit with all of our own attorney's fees, but when you get hit with the other guy's attorney's fees, that's like a divorce in California. You're going to pay for your wife to take all your stuff from you, or your husband to take all your stuff from you, and you're going to pay for yourself. So there's a different dynamic. What some of these salesmen don't understand is, okay, fine, keep talking tough in the comments section, but if you're on the other end of this, they're going to get sued. And do you just name the dealership? Have you ever named a salesperson before?
We name salespeople, we name managers, owners. If we don't know their names in the beginning, during discovery, we get to find out, we get to bring them in.
Wow.
During discovery, you get to depose people you know, like you know this guy and his name, you depose him. And then if he was involved at a level where he's personally liable, you can add him to the case, even if you didn't do it in the beginning. And then you get to depose people by category. You designate the person in charge of advertising. They'll have to say who it was. Bob shows up. You depose Bob, and then Bob says, well, I just started 2 months ago. Okay, who was doing it 2 months prior? John. Okay, so John gets deposed. And then you find out how deep, John's conduct was. If he's personally liable, you put him in the case as well. So they have a lot to lose, and also on the personal level, which is why they're gonna pay out. But I want to be clear about payouts. I'm very aggressive with litigating. A lot of comments, in my videos, and I've seen other videos, people say, oh, these lawyers. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'll go the distance, I'll litigate, I'll take the case to trial. I'm not here to squeeze a dealer for $1,000 settlement and then take half of it. I don't want that. I want the client to get his 100% recovery as long as everything lines up, the facts, and I'll make them pay the penalties if possible, and then the fees and costs separately. So this is not about, couple dollars. This is about setting things right, getting the client 100% recovery, and that's why I love doing these cases.
And I love when you said that on the phone to me, because there are a lot of attorneys out there, and I've met a lot of first year lawyers just passed the bar, and they're going to try it on their own, and they want to settle things as fast as they can. Anything's better than nothing. They come back and they tell the client, hey man, I got you $5,000, that's the best it can get, and they take their part and they run. And clearly you have the financial wherewithal to outlast these guys. And one thing you said earlier, which was powerful, is they do this to 20 people or 200 people, and only one person holds them accountable. This is where you all need to say, look, it's worth calling him. He's not charging me the time to sit with you all. The opportunity for him, for me, is that you guys watch the video. For him is call him, get the case evaluated, and if they say, we got you, let's go, I'm going to bet they're relatively sure and certain that they're going to get your money back. And the wild thing is, any dealer that takes this to trial has to risk that they're going to lose. Like, who's going to... Is it jury trials, by the way?
It's our choice, so we opt for jury in these circumstances because there's an emotional factor.
Who hasn't been screwed by a car dealer? Like, you get a jury. How do you even pick a jury? Like, do you want to side with car? Like, if it's a car salesman, you're going to say, nah, he can't be on the jury. Yeah. So you do jury selection. You get a whole bunch of people who their whole life have been screwed. Like, that's the worst possible scenario. Like, this is a great case. Yeah. And then you've got them dead to rights. You got the Wayback Machine. You've got ads showing. And how are they, like, they're not going to trial. At some point, they're going to pay you all your money.
The litigation process is all about discovering the truth about the circumstances, and they're testing our intelligence. As how far am I willing to go and how deep am I willing to go. What's nice about my firm is I've been doing this 17 years, so they all know me. The defense firms know me, the manufacturers know me, the dealers know me, and they know I'll go the distance, but they'll still push the envelope, especially when there's a new wave of cases. They don't want to just give up and start paying out. They're trying to cut deals. We get calls on these. We get calls now in batches. They'll call us, they'll say, we represent these 4 dealers. You now have 25 cases against them, various amounts of markups. And they'll be like, how about we cut a deal? Like we do, maybe we split the difference. Maybe we give you half of the markups. I'm like, no. That's not what I'm doing here. This is clear cut. You guys made a violation. You misrepresented. I'm not going to sell out my clients so that we make a deal now. And I don't have a problem going the distance a year or 2 to litigate, and until we get to the point where you guys are willing to pay out.
And is this can you only handle California cases? Or?
So I'm licensed in California. I'm working on a few other state licenses right now. The other angle we're looking at right now, because this is so prominent, is if we can sue them in federal court in other states, because I'm licensed in federal court. Okay. So if we can have a reason to be able to drag them into federal court, then I'm licensed to do that in other states. If not, we're trying to see if there are other attorneys in other states that we can collaborate with on these cases, but primarily right now I'm in California.
Awesome. So reach out, because he'll build that list and build those things out. So slight curveball, and maybe it's not a curveball, but arbitration mediation clauses. Are there any of those in these car contracts?
A lot of them have those. We're going to be fighting against these in some situations where the dealer picks to try to go under the arbitration. Sometimes they don't, which is fine, then we skip those. When they do trigger the arbitration clause, we challenge them. My view on these cases is that because these circumstances were unconscionable and unfair, that's what led to the client signing an unfair contract that has an arbitration clause. So that clause itself is also unfair because what led to that clause was unfair. And it's kind of, right now we're in the middle of trying to see how judges feel about that in these particular cases to see if we can knock them out. If we knock out the arbitration clause, then we stay in court. Although from my perspective, if we do go to arbitration, it's fine. It's still fine because the statute is clear and we can still take our depositions and have them admit what they did. And there's no way they can avoid answering that question. Is this an advertisement? They're going to say no. And then you say, okay, the word your price, what does that mean? Well, it means the price you can pay. What's the amount next to it? $100,000. What's the amount next to the word MSRP? $100,000. Is this $100,000 equal to this $100,000? Yes. Okay, so then the amount next to this, so they have to admit it, right? It's silly. They can't not admit it.
I said that in one of my last videos. I'm like, how do you? Some of these things are just so cut and dry. Like you dream for cases like these where there isn't a lot of gray area. Like you either advertise, this is either your ad or it's not. Well, it is. What did you mean by your price or today's price or internet price? What did you mean by that? How do they can't. That's just there's a lot of going on.
The issue arises because of two things. One, dealers are used to doing things one way without being questioned.
Yeah.
So it's ingrained in them that you do this and it's perfectly normal. And to an attorney, it's fraud. To a consumer, it's not fair.
Yeah.
To the dealer, it's normal business as usual. So they've done it so long that they don't see it as being improper, and they're kind of brainwashed, and I feel bad for them because they're in that mental state of just having to. It's just like, if someone's a criminal, they're just used to it. Unfortunately, they've grown into that. They have to steal, and it's bad,
but it becomes normal.
It's a habit, right?
It becomes normal to them. I said this to somebody the other day. I said, when your relationship with your integrity becomes blurred, it becomes more blurred over time, and pretty soon you don't have one.
Yeah.
And now what used to be something you would never ever do because of the people you're around, they call it outsourcing your integrity. Well, the majority of the people you spend most of your time with in these dealerships are compromised and don't have a good relationship with the truth or integrity. It becomes acceptable, and I said this in a comment yesterday back to a guy. I said, the career decision you made to the point to where you're now blaming the customer for you having to do a markup has you almost eternally damaged. It will take a decade of you not being in that industry to recover from the damage that's been done to your brain, and that is sad. So things like, and I know this probably isn't illegal, but it's a bunch of evidence that they should keep together. So maybe when you're buying a car and you know you need that car, you're going to buy that car anyways, you're willing to pay the markup, but you know you've got them, you got to go through with the deal. That's the tough part. We can't force them to sell you the car beforehand, but keep a good evidence trail, a conversation log. For example, you were just standing in the dealership floor and the salesman says, this is the last year these cars are ever going to be around. These are going to triple in value. They should write that down. That's something you want to ask them about in a deposition.
We want everything documented. That's why we want things recorded if possible. We also love having text messages. So if the salesman calls you and says, "Oh, the best I can do is 20 grand," reply back via text like 10 minutes later, saying, "I'm thinking about it. The 20 grand markup is pretty hefty. Again, I'm upset because the website said sticker price, but now you're saying 20. He's going to reply saying, "Well, yes, but management says it's 20."
Yeah.
So things like that, get it on paper if possible through text messages, emails, and so forth. Save things, save the website content. So the more evidence we have, the better. Some things are considered puffery, so they don't rise to the level of lies and fraud, but they're helpful because if we're going to go to a jury trial, the jury's not going to like all that puffery that's floating around. But I need the bare bones facts to be solid. Going back to the assessments that we were talking about, I'm very honest about the valuations from day one. I will tell the consumer point blank, these are the 4 things that are solid about your case. These are the 2 things that weaken the case. These are the odds. These are the circumstances. This is possibly how much I can get you, how long it will take, and so forth, so that we understand this relationship that we're going into with the consumer. It has to start with honesty and clarity in terms of the goals and the numbers, and it lasts throughout the process. If it's 2 months or 6 or 10 or whatever it takes, I'm very passionate about keeping everything candid from day one. So in terms of assessing, that it's always a good idea because that way I can and I document everything. So it's clear, and the client will get a breakdown of how we assessed the case. They can think about it, and they know the strengths and weaknesses and go from there. So documenting things is always great in any relationship.
Yes, and right. My wife does that well in her brain. She remembers everything. So, and I'll wrap up with just a couple things is a lot of these salesmen they're fighting us in the comments. They're saying all these horrible things and really getting defensive. And I joked around in my last video that I'm probably not allowed in another dealership in Southern California. They're going to eject me the second I walk in. And I've done this to myself by standing up.
I have a cape. We can order another one for you. We can just walk in.
We can just walk in and
do videos.
And why the hell did I go down this road? Like I've been so like obsessed with this, yet I've never paid a markup. Yeah. So why am I fighting so hard? I never will. I never have to. Yeah. I find a way. But so many of these people out there just did, and they believed everything the salespeople said. But what these salespeople need to understand is, do things right. If you do things right, you don't have to worry about guys like you. I mean, our legal system, absent having lawyers, means that we're back at the OK Corral shooting it out in the middle of the street in the old western towns. So thank goodness for you guys, even though I joked around that I generally don't like lawyers because some lawyers aren't that great. But without them, we have no recourse, no ability. We can't go shoot it out in the OK Corral. Right. We need you to go to bat for us. So for the car salesman, just to understand, I think they need to understand is, if you decide to take a case, you're not calling them up and going, hey, I know you guys probably didn't mean to do this. Would you send us back to 50? Like, you're going after them hard. Like, you're filing a lawsuit.
Yes.
Does it start with a letter or does it go straight to?
Depends on the statutes we're using. Some require a 30-day notice, others don't. So if we need that 30 days, then it starts with a letter and then a lawsuit. If we don't need the notice under some statutes, it starts out with a lawsuit. I invest a lot of time and money into each case because I get the experts involved as needed. For like defect case, for example, we have this whole area for inspecting cars. We'll go the distance, we'll pay the experts. We also do a lot of work. So if I'm doing 100 hours, 200 hours of work or other things we do into the case, all of that is an investment. So I really mean business. If I take on a case and I'm gonna go the distance, that means I believe enough that I'm gonna win. And if not, I'll go all the way to trial and see what the jury thinks about it.
Now, what's it cost, on average, to take a case to trial?
So you got certain costs that are like deposition costs, court filing, first of all, $500-600 once by the time you get it filed. Depositions will cost from $1,500 to $2,500 per person. So if you have 5-6 witnesses, that's another $15,000. Then you get experts. You have different types of experts, like valuation expert or other technical experts. They usually charge from $200-300 to $500 an hour, and they do 10 to 50 hours of work. If they show up to trial and they're going to sit there a whole day, you have to give them a full days of pay, so $5-10 grand each expert. So costs will run up to like 50 grand, 40-50 grand on a simple case. Now, these big cases where you hear...
And that's just your side.
That's my side.
They got another 50 on the other side.
They got theirs. They have people on payroll, so they're probably paying a little less, but they're still paying. And these are just costs. This is not attorney's fees. These are just costs. So we're bleeding these out on my side, and they're bleeding it out on their side. They're also bleeding out their defense cost, and I'm bleeding out my time and resources and my attorneys and staff members, whoever chips into the case. So part of which is amounts to salaries being paid out. So we're investing a lot into each case. That's why we have to win. Take on a case. And
something I learned, and I got to be careful how I say this because we have some of the greatest corporate attorneys at my company that are amazing. But my experience in the past have been some of the company payroll attorneys, basically they took a job. And that job has a salary. And it's not what you went to USC to do. You didn't go to USC to go make 100 grand a year being a lawyer. And these guys are tasked to fight a guy that is running a massive operation at a whole new level than what they're fighting. So having a guy like you, it's like having the biggest guy in the gym fight the smallest guy in the gym. I mean, they're probably not bad attorneys, but they chose a different path than you did.
You have different attorneys. You have some in that capacity. You have some that are terrific attorneys and they are getting a big payday from the defense side. But the main difference is this. I'm fighting, I'm hunting to kill because that's how I put food on the table. They're just defending, so they're on hold kind of. And that's the difference. And also in terms of my willingness to go the distance for the consumer, even if we look at the consumer and me, the consumer has a case, let's say they lost 20 grand, they bought a car, they're paying $300 extra a month. Unfair, it's a violation, it's clear, 20 grand, right? Yep. But it's kind of at a stop. Like when you call me, you've lost 20 grand, you're there. I have zero invested. I'm starting to look into your case. I first do a couple hours of assessment, then I pay the $500-600 court filing fees and service, then I spend 5 grand on an expert, then I spend 5 grand on depositions. Slowly I'm putting in so much money into your case and time, and I need to win because I need to recover and I need to make a profit to pay for my operation and put food on the table for my family. So I want to win more than the client does, which is great for the client because you have a hunter, like you have a guy fighting for you who has to win. He can't lose, because if I lose, the client's still stuck with a $200 extra payment, which he agreed to do because he was stuck with that. If I lose, I'm stuck, getting evicted. So I have to win.
You got to make it happen. No, I love that. That's
it's always like a contingency lawyer is really the one that's always fighting for the win no matter what, because he has no other choice. But an hourly attorney, he wants to win, he or she, because it's great and so forth. You get a bonus, you get job security, it's great. They want to win. But it's not an absolute necessity to win every time. They're looking to cut a deal, to compromise, to settle, to wrap things up. On our end, if we compromise, we come out negative, because sometimes a settlement may look good on paper, but it's barely enough to cover expert costs. And that's not a settlement that anybody wants on our side. We don't want it, the client doesn't want it, we need more so that there's something left.
That's a hard loss. So, no, I love that. So the last thing is what we're seeing happen now, at least I saw it this last weekend, is dealers are catching on. Some of them seem to be catching on, and maybe I shouldn't even say this, but I'm going to say it anyways because I brought it up, but they're catching on that add-ons are a sneaky and shady way around the advertised price. So what I found this weekend is I went on a dealership floor, and instead of it saying 15,000 markup, it said 15,000 for an accessory that costs a third of that. Is that a way around?
So, unfortunately for the consumer, if they put a ridiculous price on an item, legally it's going to be binding, because if you want to buy this regular table for $50,000, then it's your choice. It's on you. But as far as add-ons, what I've seen is a bunch of add-ons, not priced ridiculously, priced fairly high, but not at a ridiculous amount. But there is a violation angle on that as well. The advertisement has to say that the car has these add-ons. So if they run an ad that says MSRP $90,000 and it says call dealer for asking price and nothing else, you go to the dealer, they say, it's $90,000, but this car has $25,000 worth of add-ons. Guess what? The ad was false because you didn't disclose that the car has these additional items on it. You were saying the price of that was the lower price. So it should include all these things. Okay. And then the second side of this law is that if the item is not on the car, they cannot force you to buy it. So if you show up and they say you have to buy these warranties and coverages for $10,000, if you buy them, you can immediately, go to an attorney and we can easily make them cancel those, because you cannot be forced to purchase additional items that are not on the car. Because if it's not on there, why do I have to buy it? It's a choice. It's optional. It says optional. So if it's optional, why am I buying it?
So it's clearly not optional, which means it should have been on the price. Should have
disclosed if it's there, or not. If it's not disclosed, then it's not there. Then it's not mandatory. So it's got to be one or the other. And that also is easy to prove by going to their website.
Yep.
We'll pull 20, 30 cars. None of them have anything add-on, but this car magically had these things. And our guy's saying, you made me buy it. They're saying, oh, it's optional, you signed. Well, I want to cancel them.
Yeah.
If you're refusing, then you're forcing me. Now you've got a case.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Great information. Anything that I forgot that you'd like to share? Because I don't want to miss anything. But.
One topic I think came up is that to beat the markups nowadays, a lot of people go out of state.
Yes.
There's a negative side to that, which is you're buying out of state, so you're not registering in your state, so your transaction is not in your state. So if that car later on gives you problems, if it's defective, then your ability to use the lemon law within your state may be compromised.
That's good to know.
And also the issue of whether, even if you have a dealer fraud claim against that dealer, you may have to go to that state to sue them. There's ways to argue that you should be able to sue here because you did the transaction here and they opened themselves up to interstate commerce, they dealt with you. But if the contract says Texas and you signed off in Texas and they gave delivery in Texas and then your buddy who ships cars picked it up and brought it over, it's more like you did the deal in Texas. So now you're stuck with Texas laws and regulations and a litigation in Texas. So you don't have these rights. So I kind of want people to be mindful of these things, especially if they're buying cars that may be prone to have defects and issues. So you may come out at a loss because you bought the car, you got a good deal, but then now you don't have all the rights you would have if you purchased in California. So
well, that's great to know. I would not have seen that coming, so that's really good to know. So, well, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing. I mean, you know, you're one of the first attorneys I like, and because you're doing the right thing, and frankly, you deserve to make money doing it. The dealers deserve to make money selling cars. I have no problem with everybody trying to make a living in America. I mean, I'm a capitalist to the core of my soul. It's just do it right. Do it ethically, do it legally, and thank goodness we've got you to help balance things out when they get out of balance, which I believe to an extent things have gotten a little out of balance. And if they can, the dealers should just get thrown back in a little bit more balance. If some of you feel like you got hosed, give him a call and find out if you have a case. And at the very least, you'll know. But if you have no clue now, I mean, think about this. You paid $20,000, you know, statute of limitations.
So a lot of the statutes have a 3-year term, some have 4. Some of them start from date of transaction, some of them start from when you should have or could have discovered.
Yes.
But it's generally, if you're coming up to the 3-year, then it's really urgent to talk to me. If you're past the 3-year, then the 4th-year mark is the next crucial one. If you're past that, it may be too late, but we can take a look at it. Also factually, if there was an ad that was ran 4 years ago, it's going to be hard for us to find it. So from a practical perspective, we're really focusing on 1-2 year transactions right now, which means you have plenty of time statute-wise.
Yep, that's great to know. So if his last couple of years, give him a call. If it was longer than that, unless you have a bunch of proof, and obviously, would these be considered fraud allegations as well? So sometimes, because you know, I just thought of this, the dealers probably carry E&O insurance and stuff like that. So do you deal with a lot of the carriers?
A lot of times they have defense insurance, yes. So they'll pay out.
So you know, look, I understand this a little bit, that it doesn't take too many claims on your errors and omissions to have your errors and omissions double the next year. So you know, this isn't a good thing when you keep getting lawsuits. So be sure to give them a call and have your case evaluated. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And that's it, folks. So like, subscribe, comment, check out the links in the description below. Follow him on Instagram. You're going to be giving away a Jeep.
Yes.
So you want to follow him and be part of getting that free Jeep.
It's a Thanksgiving Day. About 2 months ago, we decided we're going to give away a Jeep on Thanksgiving Day. It's just a couple of simple things to do. Follow a couple of our pages and like the video that announces the Jeep giveaway, and then comment by tagging 3 friends, and you get an entry into our free Jeep giveaway. It's either a Jeep or $50,000 cash. So whatever the winner picks, that's what we're gonna give away.
Well, very cool. So that means you need to share this video with anybody who bought a car and paid a markup, and have them go follow him, and maybe you win a Jeep.
Yeah.
You know, I'm guessing I'm excluded at this point, so it would be weird for me to win. But nonetheless, hopefully one of you win, and I'm going to be sending you some business. And you almost make me want to go out and pay a markup on a car and then sue somebody, but I'm not going to do that. Just a heads up. But although I am shopping for my wife for a new Defender, so we'll see what happens there. But thank you again. Appreciate it. All right, take care.